Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship presented by Colbek live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Alex Skinner, and Sam Kuma is operating the production tonight. We're here for the 8th meeting of the season at sunny Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Alex, very happy to have you alongside me for the first time this season. This place is a proper speed dome on the oval layout at least, but the road course as well has held some pretty significant races over the years, and should be a unique challenge for the drivers around a circuit that we don't visit a whole lot. So we may have just missed Alex for a second there, but of course, yeah, the drivers will be taking part in a 25-minute opening race and a 40-minute second race for tonight's event. So should be very tight out there, and it's very tight in the championship. Alexei Nesov, who had a strong lead in the past, however, he missed the Sebring round last time out 2 weeks ago, and he's not around tonight either. So Matteo Fulini, who's yet to win a race so far this season, has a fantastic chance at taking that tonight in second place at the moment. Still some very strong challengers behind. Last season's runner-up Daniel Lee in third position, and the core sim racing giants are Sven Newman and Make Padge in fourth and fifth, and two-time race winner last time out Niklas Laubisch in sixth place. So there is a drop round applied as well. However, we haven't applied that yet to the score, so expect that to still shuffle around. We can still certainly say there's a 6-car fight for the title though. And in the amateur standings, this has gone up and down throughout the season. It's Kevin Kitzman back into the lead. He lost the lead of the championship between rounds 2 and rounds 8, but he's back to the top going into round 9. He's ahead of Steve Burke by a handful of points. Jensen Adjinsons, Tom Bingham, and Dar Adjinsons, and Alton Galmetz and several others still right in the mix in that one, however. So could really change up quite a bit. Alex, I believe you are back with us now. I was just saying before, you know, this isn't a circuit that these drivers will be too familiar with, to be honest, and it is one that divides opinion slightly. So very fresh for these drivers. I think very few of them would have done a GT race around this circuit in the past.
Yep, indeed, and of course, pleasure to be alongside you once again, Sam. Has been a rather while since I've worked alongside yourself. But of course, Indianapolis, a circuit that, as you said, divides opinion, and for GT drivers especially, one that, as you said again, very rarely visited outside of the occasional time that IMSA decides to come and visit, which, I mean, honestly, has been rather rare in the past few years, at least in terms of the actual WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. And of course, on iRacing, it's again sort of left out of the calendar because, well, no one really likes to drive the circuit. But of course, it brings a nice bit of change to the calendar, and it brings a bit of interest because, well, everyone roughly should be on a level playing field if they don't drive it that much. So it'll be rather interesting to see how things work out here, especially with the way that the current GTE bot is, and the way that the current guys seem to find the cars in terms of driving style. Of course, in the middle of qualifying, Sam, and, well, I'm not really surprised that it's currently a Porsche on pole around here because, well, traction around this circuit is one thing that most GT cars seemed to lack.
Yeah, and getting a strong exit onto the NASCAR Turn 4 is going to be quite an asset for these drivers, I am sure. Matteo Spear, though, qualifying very well at the moment. Of course, race winner back at Donington 3 weeks ago in race 2 and won by a comfortable margin as well. Deliberately started from reverse grid pole position, and it's yielded a fantastic result for him. He's looking strong in this qualifying at the moment, though, so still got 5 more minutes to go. So Newman as well, just become a little bit of a draft behind, but these guys on their outlaps now setting off on a strong one. It's nice to actually have someone who knows what they're talking about in the commentary booth, Alex, because I believe you know a little bit more about the GTEs than myself. I believe, though, the Ferrari has had a bit of a turn of pace recently. I believe it's a bit stronger than in the past. So maybe these Ferraris, who have won a few races already this season, to be fair, might be particularly strong here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, of course. Any circuit that does seem to prefer a bit more top end, and, well, you can't really get more top end than, you know, the run through the final corner and towards turn 1 than Indianapolis, Sam. But of course, it is a circuit that requires a bit of a mixed bag. You want a car that's able to rotate mid-corner, obviously a car that's able to have a nice, you know, sort of overall sort of feel to it compared to some circuits, you know, like circuits like Monza or circuits like Spa, you know, where you can get away with a car that struggles through the, you know, struggles necessarily to turn in or such. But of course, here with the GTs, as you said, the Ferrari has been given that little bit of a increase in performance recently, and it's just helped bring it so much closer to the front of the field. We saw Porsche domination, we've seen BMW domination, and, well, we haven't really seen Ferrari domination for a long time, Sam. So I think maybe it's about time. And, well, we're currently looking at Andy Thompson, and I think, well, I have a feeling one of the sole 4 GTs on the grid because, well, the poor little thing's been sort of left to rot in the back in the shed away from everything else because the Corvette arrived. But hopefully we can see that car perform really well. We have seen it perform really well before in GTE only leagues. We've even seen it perform well in endurance leagues. And of course, it's one of the easier cars to drive. It's one of the nicer cars to drive. But of course, you look at something like the BMW, which most people think is a bit of a boat. I don't know. It's actually quite a nice little car to drive.
The BMW is rather big as well. I always think if you're in a side-by-side battle, I'd rather be in a BMW because you can biff the opponents out of the way. Maybe the iRacing players don't quite work that way, but it certainly does make you feel like you're driving a bit of a Range Rover out there on the streets. Chris Prescott doing really good qualifying at the moment, up there in 13th places. Lavish goes to the top. He was very strong last time out at Sebring and does need to collect a lot of race wins. A very troubling season for Lavish so far this season, very much in the shadow of his teammate Alexei Nesov, but with Nesov not around, he's really the favourite for any of these races. He's currently on pole position by half a tenth of a second and looking to improve on this time as well. Of course, welcome to John Tressida on his return to the championship, and Andy Thompson, who has already raced in the GT Trophy League we have on Apex Racing League and on Apex Racing TV, of course, on a Tuesday evening. But Andy making the switch to the GT Championship, so best of luck to those drivers. And a quick shout out to our sponsor for this series, Colbek Systems Limited. Of course, Colbek is an IT reseller with over 30 years in the business. They work with IT managers and departments all across the UK to find savings on Google Workspace, Altaro, Office 365, ESET, Acronis, and many other softwares. So if you visit colbek.co.uk/iRacing, you can see if you get better pricing for everything that runs your business IT, and you can also go vote for your driver of the day on the website as well. So pop over to colbek.co.uk/iRacing for that. And also thanks to Colbek because their sponsorship enables us to give prize money to each of the winners in each of the top 3, in fact, of both the professional and the amateur drivers in every race of the championship. And that is 24 races. So big thanks to Colbek for their support of the series.
Yes, indeed, and of course, amazing thanks again from mine for such an amazing series. It's great to see so many GT cars on one circuit, really. I think I haven't seen this many GT cars, Sam, on the circuit, and especially in a major race since my split of the iRacing Daytona 24 hours. But, you know, it's great to also actually see these guys so close in qualifying as well, as Paluch comes across the line, 22-1, doesn't improve on his lap, but will happily slot in 6th in that C8 Corvette. Looking now at Galametza in the Ferrari, the 236. And of course, knowing our luck, or knowing my luck, the session times out just before. Unless my Discord, Sam, is having a moment again.
No, it's all good. It's a bit annoying, really, because oh, here we go. This is something that we were discussing beforehand, before the broadcast went live. But unfortunately, on iRacing, you can't choose to have the timer continue. So, unfortunately, once you get to the 10 minutes, well, that's it. On the heat racing format that we use for this race, it enables us to have some reverse grids. But yeah, unfortunately, times out at the 10 minutes. It always is a little bit anticlimactic at the end. But I'm sure Nicholas Laubish will be pleased because he's on pole position. No more time for the opponents to get any closer. Matteo Fiulini, pretty much championship leader. I mean, remember, Nesov not around tonight, and Fiulini's only a couple points behind, so Fiulini basically championship leader in 2nd position. Matteo Spear with his best qualifying of the season, I believe, really looking strong in that Ferrari. Lines up in 3rd, then it's Sven Newman, Danny Lee, of course, effectively 2nd place in the championship. There's Make Paluch as well, so a real competitive top 6. Tom Brown, who of course won back at Interlagos, lines up in 7th, and top of the amateur jars and a return to form. Drew Becker, he needs to have a faultless end to the season in order to challenge for that amateur title. Then it is Matthew Chambers, Marco Tolman, Tom Bingham, and Anton Galmetza. Chris Prescott lines up in 13th. And that it's Steve Burke, Kevin Kittelman, a little bit far down the order for the amateur championship leader. Chris van der Nesse, Brent Cook, Tom Collins, Dean Powell, David Gary, Jensen Adjensons, John Chester, Stephen Broomfield, Dave Chadwick, and Andy Thompson. Gonzalo Cortez will be starting from the pits in 26th position for the 2nd race of the evening. And by the way, we are going to have a full reverse grid for this for the second race. So basically, whoever finishes last in this race will be starting from the front for race 2. So quite a luxury on hand there. Even if you do have a poor race 1, you'll still be looking very strong as the drivers start their formation lap, Alex.
Reverse grid, full reverse grids, they always make me smile because it always brings out the best in the best drivers, and also sometimes the best in the slower drivers. I won't say the slowest because no one's slow in Apex Racing League GT. But of course, Sam, you know, you look at those reverse grids and you see all these, you know, like the top guys trying to fight their way through the order, and it's always impressive when you see how well a lot of the guys that may not be as quick on raw pace alone are able to actually defend. And somehow, I've just witnessed the Ferrari manage to go off on the formation lap out of turn 2. I'm confused, but I won't question it. I mean, I know people hate this circuit enough, but I didn't think they hated it that much.
Well, they've kept their position, thank goodness. But yeah, come on, guys, the tarmac's not that bad. You can stick on it on the formation lap. After all, I mean, why do you think it is that the drivers are a bit skeptical of this circuit? Can you put your finger on the disdain that is felt for this place?
I'm not too sure. Like, I've never disliked the circuit. Well, I say that I have hated the circuit in the past, but I mean, yes, it's gone through its iterations. Yes, it's gone through its layout changes. Yes, it's had a lot of issues with it. But overall, it's not a bad circuit to race at, all things considered. You know, multiple endurance races I've witnessed over, you know, real life and, you know, in sim racing have all been pretty action-packed around here. So, you know, especially with the layout that we're using, thanks to iRacing, of course, which removes the double head, which basically, you know, it removes the most laborious and lack of overtaking spot on the circuit and actually makes it so that you can maybe go side by side with people. You know, it adds that to it at least. And at least we're not using the devilish final few corners that were introduced at the end of the Formula 1 2005 Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think that's a very good element for the circuit, as Laubish has the lead of the pack. The Ford Mustang pace car will pull in pretty late, but there is a big slipstream opportunity down into turn 1 and opportunities to overtake later on in the event as well. So once again, so you're on an Esports driver on pole position. Laubish puts his foot down and we are away racing for 25 minutes of action here for meeting 9 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. A very strong start for B. He might be up into second position here, but he's a bit cautious on the brakes, and Fellini manages to hang on. That's a very important move for him. Newman also looks strong in 4th position, but he was cautious on the brakes and they're able to hang on to that pace. A remarkable start again for Steve Burke, really repeating his start from Donington, of course, and he's up 6 places into the lead of the amateur category. He is really a master at those launches as Daniel Lee goes up the inside of Meg Paluk right now. And Paluk's just going to be able to hang on to that one. In fact, Tom Brown looking to pick up the scraps from there. But Steve Burke, what a start up into 8th place.
Yeah, extremely solid start from Burke. Actually, very much, I think we saw even 4 wides in the background, sort of towards the start of the Anfield, maybe towards the mid of the Anfield. Meanwhile, Kevin Kittelman has had an issue, potentially a little spin, so I don't see any damage on the front or the sides of that 219 Porsche. Apparently it was a slowdown, so already the slowdown's hitting certain drivers, Sam, just taking a bit too many liberties or having to avoid things on that one that are just slowing them down straight away. But meanwhile, currently now looking at the fight between Chambers and Becker for P9. 2 Porsches, equal machinery. Probably a tiny bit of setup difference between the two as they complete the first lap of asking here in the first race of 2. Meanwhile, in the background, I see a BMW trying to make a move on the Ferrari. That is Galamezza versus Collins, and that was very, very close to turn 1. Slight little lockup from the BMW to snag the front right brake just ever so slightly. Thankfully, Galamezza was very wise to that and managed just to open the door slightly and just avoid any contact there. And then obviously you got Tolman not too far back as that's Galamezza off the circuit, hard into the barrier on the outside there. That was a very, very unusual moment for the Ferrari. And there's contact here between Palou and I believe that was Tolman as well. Oh my god, it's all kicking off on lap 2, Sam. What has gone on here?
This is terrible news for Palak, and maybe it's Lee is behind him here. Has the Colbek car given him a tap? No, it's all by himself. Oh, and then Lee has to take evasive action and hits him. So will Palak have damage from that one? Lee has lost 5 places from that one. Tom Brown's up into 5th, so Lee, who would have been absolutely delighted when he initially saw the car spinning around, quickly realised it wasn't too good, went the wrong way, and yeah, that is absolutely dreadful news for him. As here comes Beer, he really does have the pace, he's taking it to the championship leader right now, but Fulini is hanging on. It's tricky to go around the outside at that turn 1. And the Italian holding on to 2nd place, but Beer feels like there is a chance at a 2nd race win of the season here, and he wants to get past immediately. Further back, yeah, not too much going on further back, a couple of changes, but yeah, this is the real tight battle at the moment as Laubish has pulled out about a 9/10 of a second lead.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, going back to what we said about the incident, I did see some little rear wing damage on Lee's car as well, so hopefully not too major. It may look, you just see the end of it just slightly bent a little, but we do also actually have a fight for 6th place at the moment, because actually Burke isn't too far up the road here from Chambers. But of course, Becker and Van der Dessa, as Becker goes wide, he's going to hold it because the track comes straight back to him. This is what I was saying about the overtaking spot. You can really, really open it up. That's going to be Lee coming under pressure from Collins as well. Slight little wide exit. It's going to knock the run. The BMW has so much torque underneath it. Just able to just pull alongside, and it's going to have the legs down the start-finish straight as well. May not be great through the corners, but one thing it has got on its side is a lot of straight line speed, but doesn't stop Lee from tucking into the slipstream, giving it a little push down the straight, pulling out with the overspeed and looking to the inside. No, he's going to have to back off, or maybe no, he's going to back off, and Tolman is going to see this as a lock up in front as well. I believe it's just a slight little harmless lock up from Becker, but it is going to put the BMW out wide, which might allow Lee to the inside. It is indeed going to be side by side heading through the Grand Prix loop, and Tolman's going to be looking at this and going, oh, hello, 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 I want a bit of action here. And if these two trip over each other, he might be in for a double overtake. But it's going to be Collins who will get that move done. It's taken him an entire sector, but at the end of the day, the move's a move, and he's completed it well, Sam.
Yeah, and I wonder if that rear wing damage that he picked up on Daniel Lee's car, maybe just affecting his straight line speed. He really did seem to struggle when he pulled out of the jumps on his rivals. Alongside here for Powell and apologies, Broomfield and Jensen. Jensen's, of course, both Dara and Jensen's out here on circuit. It's wide for Broomfield, and Jensen's can nail the exit here. He's got it fairly good. A nice cutback a little bit earlier on the throttle. Now he is going to have to dip into the draft again. They've got Prescott just behind these jars. So Prescott with a weak start. He's down 5 places from his starting position. Is the Team Listed Motorsport cars. His teammate Burke has gone up. Prescott's gone down slightly. Might even have 3 wide here. It's gone early. Has the BMW driver to the outside. It's very close against the other two, as Lee's had a little bit of a problem further ahead. In fact, he's yeah, not too far ahead of us now. Oh, that was extremely close. It's Broomfield holding on though, and Prescott wasn't able to benefit from that. But apologies, that was Dean Powell then right in front of us, just in the foreground. And Daniel Lee is right in the mix here with Gary. Must have made a mistake here, did Lee, as Gary makes a mistake, and that's going to send him outside the top 20. I think Paluk makes up a place. Oh, and this is just painful. Almost gets it beached as well. But eventually back on his way as the Centurion Racing Team driver.
See, we talk about sandbags, Sam, but I don't think that's the ideal way to apply them to the car. But a shame for Gary. That rear end just wanting to come out ever so slightly, and once you get the rear end out in some of these cars, it is rather difficult to keep it in, well, to actually catch it again. But he won't drop to the back of the field, he will just drop to 23rd. So he's still got a couple of cars behind him. Obviously, Ganamedsa in the is a 1 lap down, I've just seen as well after his issues early on. Meanwhile, fight for the lead between Labish and Fulini. This will be interesting to see actually how these two go about it, because Fulini was 3/10 quicker that last lap and through the first sector. He seems to be a lot more stable and a lot more comfortable to push that 911 RSR. Jeez, I'm getting my RF2 and iRacing car names mixed up here, Sam. But of course, seems so much happier in that car, especially through the first sector. And there is not far off either in that 488, so able just to keep up with these guys. But these three, full 3.5 seconds on Neumann now, Sam, which is extremely impressive to see.
Yeah, they seem to be a level above the others. I mean, it's unclear how much pace Paluk had or Daniel Lee, but I think these guys just have the edge. And it's great to see three different teams being represented, a couple of different manufacturers as well. As Bellini getting a bit more speed on entry, doesn't quite get the same exit as Laubisha had, but he's still within, well within draft range, 0.3 of a second back, and you can see on the relative screen there, the battle box section, the gap not coming down too much, but it's down to 0.2 of a second, and of course the air getting thicker and thicker as these drivers escalate these speeds. Bellini not close enough, and that'll be a bit worrying for him. I mean, to only be 0.3 behind going on to the oval and not be able to get alongside, maybe elsewhere on the lap is where he's going to have to make the move, but still only a third of the way through this opening race. Still got time to pull this one off. The battle behind starting to separate a little bit, but Steve Buck, race this is turning up for him. He's up 8 places, and if it ended like this, he would retake the lead of the amateur championship. And that doesn't really mean too much, to be honest, for that championship, because it has changed most races so far this season. It really is a case where whoever's leading the championship can't seem to beat the others, and always seems to have a little bit of misfortune. But Burke looking like he's on a positive trajectory right there, up in 6th position. See a little bit of Collins doing very well himself, actually. In 10th place, he's just ahead of Marco Tolman, and the revived Daniel Lee's on the comeback, it seems.
Yeah, indeed. It seems that Lee sort of got himself, picked up the pieces, got himself a bit back in order, and got himself to be a bit more consistent again. He's starting to work his way back, and we'll see on the back of this fight, it's tense now between the two AMs of Collins and Tolman. Of course, another thing to note, it's quite nice to see the amount of AMs that are mixed up with the pros at the moment, Sam. No one seemingly, everyone seemingly mixed up with each other. Meanwhile, to the inside will go Tolman, and Lee's going to have a look as well, potentially later on the brakes there. 3 wide, 2 Porsches and a BMW, and that is a beautiful overtake for Lee to get it through up into the top 10. Now that, Sam, is an overtake.
Oh, that was very, wasn't it? Up the inside, and well, the others would have known, as long as they had their spots on, they would have known that it was dangerous as soon as Danny Lee went 3 wide. And just a really good straight line speed. I mean, I was concerned about his straight line speed earlier on. There was no worries about that. You can see the slightly crumpled bonnet, but that was not holding back. A couple of important places there for Danny Lee, because in the championship hunt, he did need to gain those couple of places. He's up into 10th. Bit of a mistake, I think, after that for Stephen, for one of the drivers who they were battling with, and just did hold them back slightly. But it's looking good for Lee now in that 10th position. I think that was Collins, apologies, with the mistake. He's down into 13th place, just making a mistake through that first sector. But this train's starting to form up now behind Tom Bingham, veteran of the series for Performance Link Esports. But you'll be pleased to see what's going on behind him, because that is, of course, Daniel Lee's teammates in the other Colbek car, Dean Powell, going for a move. And in fact, he might even be able to get Bingham there. Bingham really struggling down the straights, maybe running a little bit more drag than these cars, because they were catching up to him quick. Powell can't get the move done on Collins. And this pack is starting to grow a little bit. They've got the very quick Paluch as well at the back of this one, and he won't be wasting any time making his way past. Paluch just trying to find a little bit of space here, going around the outside. You'll stay satisfying when you can pull off around the outside, gain the inside for the next corner through that section. And perhaps couldn't quite pull it off on that occasion. Of course, Jensen Atkinson's just ahead of him in 16th place. Prescott at the back of this one. He was strong in qualifying as we see a move for Kittelman on John Tressida, just on his return to the championship. And Kittelman, the leader of the amateur championship at the moment, will be not soon to be in 12.5 minutes. Half of this race 1 to go. This is properly close now. It's Broomfield versus Powell. Powell in 14th, but Broomfield could not be closer to the rear wing of that Colbek car, as he is going to try to look for a way down into turn 1.
Yeah, he's going to dive to the inside, and meanwhile you see Collins on the inside of Bingle. Jeez, Powell looking, well, not locking up, but going straight on at turn 1. And I believe that Collins and Bingham nearly came very, very close together there, actually, as well. Get a quick replay of that. Broomfield to the inside. The second BMW. It's like 2 BMWs going on the inside of 2 Porsches there. But that is Dean Powell going straight on at turn 1 and losing a fair few places. Easily done. Just slightly missed the braking point, and you're ending up going, well, we're going for a trip round oval turn 4 sound. So always an interesting one to see, as Bingham's actually gotten past Collins in the meantime. They are side by side as they come towards the exit of the infield. Get the inside line in that 285 Porsche, make his way through. Obviously, Performance Link Esports Cup doing a very solid job indeed. And obviously, Broomfield looking to pounce here, looking to try and make some places up. But then again, so's the the 3 other cars chasing in tow.
This could get tasty down into turn 1. They're all going to have the jut or another for some sort of reason. I've been picking up the jostle fairly late down the straight there was Collins, but now he's in the draft, and well, this is just going to be taking candy from a baby, to be honest. Straight past, really struggling for straight line speed there is Bingham, as going for the Daniel Lee move was Broomfield just behind. He might get one day very wide just ahead as well for Collins, but Broomfield was able to get past. And Bingham's just a sitting duck down that straight. Might well be worth just making a couple of changes to that car. Or maybe it's just the fact that the BMWs have the advantage with that top end speed. Certainly the Performance Link Esports have no problem through the corners. Adrian is managing to hold up Paluk as well. And just a reminder as well, we've got a 40-minute race 2 coming up, and everyone will get reversed for that. Even Gonzalo Cortez running in 26th position, he will be within that reverse grid as we cut to Drew Becker, who's made a mistake. So Becker, who started as top of the amateur drivers, he's a fair bit away now from Steve Burke. He's down into 10th position. Let's see how this one happened. He was behind Matthew Chambers at the time.
Oh, just loses the rear. It just slides at him so slightly. And, simple little thing like that. And, well, the Porsche doesn't exactly stay as a very happy bunny. So, drop a couple of places. Meanwhile, speaking of places, Collins and Broomfield are side by side. 2 BMWs headed their way towards turn 1. Sounds like the start of a joke sometimes with how many BMWs you sometimes see on iRacing. But into turn 1, and Broomfield's going to get the move done. I did actually see, I say he's going to get it done. Oh, bit of contact there, but not intentional. Well, that was a tiny bit of netcode, I think, there, Sam. Which just may have caught it off guard, because they definitely didn't look like it on my end. But of course, such a shame to see Collins spun around like that, was running very, very solidly indeed. That is going to promote Broomfield to 12th, and then Bingham and Adriansen, up into 14.
I think that was a huge bit of netcode there between the two drivers. That was really unlucky, and it was just on the worst spot, wasn't it? Sometimes if it's on the door, you just get pushed wide a little bit. But that time it was right on the corner and just rotating the car. We've still got 8 minutes to go, but every minute that goes past in this race, it's looking that bit stronger for Nicholas Laubish. He hadn't won a race, of course, this season in the first 7 meetings of the championship, but he really came on strong at Sebring, and he'd take points out of the championship lead if it could end like this. Tom Brown is up into 4th position, the Interlagos Race 2 winner, putting in one of his best performances of the season. This will certainly be his best Race 1 performance, I believe. He's got past a very much informed Sven Newman, who and course sim racing generally. Even Paluk, he had that spin, but didn't look particularly strong in qualifying. And yeah, Brown, the British driver, up into 4th position and putting a bit of a gap straight away.
Yeah, indeed. It's just a very, I'd say, stable part of the race. Just say it's a very calm and collected period of this race. As everyone now just, well, I say that. I say that as Tom Collins has had another moment in the Team Lizard Motorsports BMW. Not too sure what has happened there, but hopefully wasn't with any contact at least. We'll have a look now on the replay.
Bit ambitious, that one, I think. And ran out of room. Manages to get back on second. Unfortunately, wasn't too many cars trying to get past. That is Jensen's getting his way past Bingham, but this one is over. Yeah, this would be a good comparison because Bingham has looked slowed down the straights, but now they are dead level. And actually, Bingham's pace isn't too bad. So maybe it's just the Porsche not quite being able to match the BMWs down the straights, but it's just the draft effect is particularly strong. Well, that was very strong on the brakes for Jensen's there. It's up into 13th position then, which is each place is up from his start. Stephen Bloomfield just ahead of him, up 11 places, so plenty of changes in this opening race of the meeting. And make Paluk really not making much progress, to be honest, right now, Alex. Yeah, I thought Paluk would be past those drivers in an instant, but he's faced some resistance.
Yeah, he has, and of course, you know, it's just that the Corvette, not necessarily the strongest round here. It does like a bit more of a faster and a bit more of a flowing circuit, of course. I'd say that, and then everyone would go, oh, but the Corvette's quicker, X-Track. I'm like, yes, but Indianapolis is not like X-Track. Indianapolis is a very different beast, and it very much prefers those cars that, you know, will either have extremely large torque numbers to be able to pull themselves out of a corner, or have enough straight line speed to be able to make up the deficit. Again, of which is why we've seen the BMW and the Porsche so strong, you know, in both respects. And obviously the Ferrari is pretty much a good all-round car and is able to keep up, hence why we are seeing Bear only half a second actually off of these guys, you know, off of the back of Fulini ahead. But these three, Sam, have been inseparable. It is absolutely amazing to see how close these three are. And obviously, in effect, this is just fighting over last place of the grid. Like, this is, you know, you wouldn't expect it really, would you?
Yeah. I think, of course, Beer's probably out of the championship hunt, but Fellini really needs the points we can. I think, I mean, I've said it a few times tonight, but Fellini yet to win a race. 16 races so far this season, he's not won any of them. Has finished on the podium a handful of times. And has very much been the best driver, but besides when Nessov has been around, really hasn't actually been the best driver. He's not been lucky at all. He's just been consistent, but always kind of second best to Nessov. But I don't know about you, Alex, but it looks like Laubich is running less swing. I mean, the draft effect we've seen on the other cars is quite big, but Fellini's making barely anything up in the draft. I mean, I can only imagine that's just different setups, and you know, maybe Fellini's faster, but unless you can get track position, it's kind of useless.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to get by on the infield here at Indianapolis unless you really can be either alongside going into turn one, obviously turns 1 and 2, or unless you're able to really find something on the infield, you know, compared to your opponent. It just seems that Laubich has enough, you know, to keep it ahead down the straight, but also enough just to be able to not lose too much through the infield section. And well, as you're seeing here, he's pulling away down the back straight, and even if the car looks tired, a little bit wayward or a little bit understeery in places, it's enough to keep Fellini behind. And well, at this point, as a little slide comes out from Fellini, at this point, it's just a case of, well, Fellini's got to sit there and basically hope for a mistake at this point.
Yeah, that's looking like the only option, isn't it? And make sure they keeps Bear behind as well. Bear a little bit closer to Fellini. Fiolini is to Laubish, but Fiolini with that draft, he should be alright against the German Austin Powers, of course, because of his livery, as Peter Mackay once coined, and that has very much stuck with him since, of course, the GT4, the Apex Racing Academy GT4 Super Series, and it's also the GT Trophy as well on a Tuesday evening. Of course, we do host many series on Apex Racing League, all of which are broadcasted on Apex Racing TV. So if you're looking to sign up to a league on iRacing and get some similar racing to this, go check out apexracingleague.com. If you can visit there, you can see our 7 active series. Off the top of my head, it's the Masters, the GT Trophy, which features the GT3 and GT4 cars. We've got Porsche Cups, we've got touring cars, we've got prototypes, and that's both the P1 and the P2 cars. Then Formula 3, and of course the GTE cars as well. So it's really most of the high participation cars covered by Apex Racing. So do check out the website to find some sign-up details. We've got 2 more laps to go. I think we'll just edge in 2 more laps, but this might be the white flag. We'll be very close.
It will actually be close indeed, and across the line, 122. Wow, that is actually very close indeed, actually. I believe it will actually be 2 to go here, Sam, because they came across the line just in time to make it another lap. So Fiolini has 2 more chances of asking, and we'll see if he can do it, although he has dropped back a slight bit off the back of the leader, and he has sort of dropped into the clutches of that Ferrari. But again, as we've seen before, he just keeps it nice and steady, keeps it nice and solid through the first sector, and then he's just able to sit within that, within that 4 to 5/10 gap he has. And these 3 have just got a massive gap to 4th place Tom Brown at the moment. It is 8.5 seconds of a gap. That is extremely impressive to see, especially from the top 3 that have, in effect, been trying to fight each other this whole race. But of course, Brown and Neumann haven't exactly been the most docile of drivers either. They have rather kept themselves trying to keep each other honest, and they have pulled them a gap as well, about 5 seconds on to Burke. So as we actually do come across the line, Laubish will take the victory. Fiolini 2nd and Beer 3rd. I do take that back. I thought they actually had an extra lap for us.
iRacing complaint number 2. The checkered flag should have come out there. There was about 2 seconds to spare, but Laubish will be pleased. Hopefully he had enough fuel anyway, but there we go. He does get the win, his 3rd in a row. And if his championship hunt wasn't already on, it's certainly on now. Dave Chadwick with a mistake. Collins really falling back in the second half of the race. He was up in 11th place at one point, but he's down into 22nd. But, well, this is the type of scenario I was hoping that we'd see here in Indianapolis, a run to the line. But it is quite an advantage to be ahead because you can take that shorter run through IndyCar Turn 1. But Collins does get it right at the line. He did have enough straight line speed in that BMW M8, and he passes Thompson by 3/100ths of a second at the line. Gets him an extra point, but it does mean he'll start 1 place further down on the grid for race 2. So we advance into the warm-up session. I think we can go through our finishing results for this race 1. It's Nicholas Laubish for the 3rd time in a row on the top step of the podium. Matteo Fiolini's come close. That may have been the closest he's come to a race win this season, but still good points. Takes officially the lead of the championship. Matthias Beer finishes in 3rd position, one of his strongest, certainly his strongest race 1 of the season. There was Tom Brown, Sven Newman, Steve Burke, top of the amateur drivers, and top of the amateur championship as well. So it's all changing the championships. Matty Chambers in 7th, Danny Lee in 8th. There was Drew Becker and Chris Van Den Nesse rounding out the top 10. Behind that was Marco Tolman, Stephen Broomfield, Jensen Adjinsons, Tom Bingham, Chris Prescott, Mick Paluk, Dean Powell, Kevin Kitzman, John Tressida, Brent Cook, Tom Collins, Andy Thompson, Dave Chadwick, David Gary, Anton Galmetzer, and Gonzalo Cortez. And with a 26 car reverse grid, despite that, Cortez finished 15 laps down. He should be on the reverse grid pole as long as he chooses to take the start. Of course, one of our sponsors for this championship is Virtual Racing School. Apologies. And of course, Virtual Racing School providing about 50 data packs on road and oval racing. I've got a little bit of a trailer just to show you what Virtual Racing School is all about. David Williams, one of the coaches at Virtual Racing School, will just take you through a little bit of a video coming up. But once we've watched that, we'll be right back with you on Apex Racing TV for race 2 of the evening here on the Apex Racing League GT Championship presented by Colbek. See you in a moment.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship presented by Colbek. Once again, my name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Alex Skinner, and Sam Kuma is operating the cameras. Once again, thanks to Virtual Racing School for their support for Apex Racing League, for this championship, and of course Apex Racing TV on a whole. Yeah, big thanks to them, and of course do check out Virtual Racing School, their website. Alex, a decent race one. It didn't quite ignite at the front, I think, there, but I think this 40-minute full reverse grid, I don't think there's a better recipe to properly spice up the action tonight.
No, indeed. I don't even think 40 minutes is going to be enough for the leaders to get their way through the field, especially with how good some of those midfield guys are at defending around here. And of course, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, overtakes are very difficult, as we have seen. It's mainly been a case of into turn 1 or out into the final corners. But of course, the grid for race 2, Galmedza is on pole, so he's not taken. So the start was not taken, and it means that Gowrie will then line up second with Chadwick third, Thompson fourth for Focusrite Esports alongside his teammate. Then Tom Collins, and then Brent Cook, John Tressida, Kevin Kittleman, Dean Powell in the pro category. So pros starting behind the M's here, Sam. followed by Make Paluf, then Chris Prescott, Tom Bingham, and then Jensen Adriassens. Then Steven Broomfield will line up in 14th, followed by Marco Tolman, Chris van der Dessner, then Drew Becker, Danny Lee, Maddie Chambers, Steve Burke, Sven Neumann, Tom Brown, Matthias Beer, Mattia Fulini, and then, of course, we have the final two on the grid, which is Niklas Laubisch and then, of course, Gonzalo Cortez.
Yeah, I think Cortez may have left the session. So iRacing, very smart. We've criticised iRacing a couple of times tonight, but iRacing, credit to them, they managed to figure out, hang on, Gonzalo isn't in the session, so he probably won't take the grid, so we'll biff everyone else up a place. So very smart from iRacing there. So I applaud them on that one. But yeah, that's actually very thankful. Otherwise, we would have had one row of the grid kind of get an advantage if there was a space on the grid left vacant. But there is Gal Metzer at the top of the field. My favourite for this one, at least, Alex, I don't know if you agree with me at all on this, is Make Paluk. I mean, whilst he was struggling a bit for pace in race 1, I can't help but feel maybe now that he's got rid of that damage, he should be the favourite for this one. I don't think he's won a race all season as well as Paluk, so considering that he's going for the championship, really needs to get up the order as soon as he can.
Well, we will see, because of course we do have that 40-minute race, and of course we're very close to the start of this one. And of course, actually, for David Gowrie, who we saw had those problems in race 1, Sam, he could be in for a very good shout of this one alongside Galmetzer, because we know the pace is there for them. Just the mistakes that they made in race 1 just cost them a bit too much.
Yeah, and that BMW could be dangerous off the line as well. The Ferrari should be decent down the straights, but the BMW looked very strong in that race 1 down the iconic pit straight we have here at the Brickyard. The Ford Mustang pace car will just round one more corner, and then we'll soon be underway. Some quite big gaps being left by the drivers at the front of the order. We'll see if they start to bunch up, but certainly Andy Thompson just leaving a bit of a gap to the pole sitter before we get underway. In fact, those gaps are going to remain, and Galmetzer should have a free pass on this one. He storms into the lead as we start this 40-minute race 2 of the evening at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A very strong start for Brent Cook to get past Dave Chadwick. He's up 2 places, pretty much on the green flag. 4 wide, going into turn 1. Oh, there's a couple of cars round immediately, and that is just one car who has lost out big time. That was Tom Collins. He's hit the wall, but he's standing back up and trying to get back on his way. Gowrie and Galmetzer have taken each other out. That must have been Gowrie going into the back of Galmetzer, surely, and a good result for both those drivers as well, and truly gone out of the window. So it's Andy Thompson in his first ever meeting in Apex Racing League GT, leading the way, gaining 3 places off the start. A good start for Paluk, gaining 5 places up into 5th position. But well, this is going to be an exciting few laps, Alex, as the front guys try to make it to the as the top guys try to get to the front.
And he's leading in a Ford GT of all things, so hey ho, we'll see how this goes. Well, it's amazing how the commentators curse really bit hard this one, and there round he goes. Oh no, he's going to thankfully not get collected by anyone. He's going to spin it around, stick on the inside, as the build will fly through. Meanwhile, there's issues for Powell as well. Rear wing looks bent, potentially some issues. Paluk's up to second, by the way, with Chadwick now leading. And there is, we're now looking at Prescott, Broomfield, and a whole gaggle of cars going towards turn 1, including many of the guys that we saw in those big fights earlier. You can actually see the race 1 race winners in the background there as well. But that's going to be Broomfield under pressure now from Van der Dessner. And oh my God, that's very, very lucky for Andrea Anderson to not get caught up there. And that's Tolman. Tolman's round in the background as well, but meanwhile they're going to be 2, maybe even 3 wide to the first few corners here. And this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see the race 1 winners fighting their way through, and we're now on board with Beer, who's behind Becker. You can see Chambers and then even Brown and Leo in front, like squabbling for P12 on track. But Beer makes his way past Becker, who's going to be outside still. But Becker's going to be able to hold, and he's not going to be able to hold it off of the Ferrari though. The Ferrari will get his way through. Meanwhile, here comes Laubish trying to have a look as well. I think he's trying to make his way through on Powell. He's going to be on the inside. It's going to be very close to you can see Fellini there as well. Slight little lock up from Dean Powell in the 124 Porsche. He's going to sandwich himself between your race 1 winner and race 1 second place. Now this is the question we have to ask. Does Fellini have enough top speed in that car to get his way past these guys? We saw in race 1 he was lacking that top speed compared to his competitors. Has he maybe dropped the wing a bit to, you know, give him that little edge now? We're about to find out. Down the start, finish straight, and it does look like he has, because he has got a nice bit of a run on Powell in front. But Powell trying to have a look at the inside of Laubish, not going to work there. And Neumann's actually not too far back either. I've just been in contact now between Fellini and Powell. Oh, such a shame as well. Slight little misjudgment, and it just put him around. And there's Galmetza as well. I see more tyre smoke, more lock-ups and spins potentially as well. Thompson is there, your earlier race leader, is now down to 23rd as Paluch now leads in the Core Sim Racing 1 number 180 Corvette C8R, with Kidderman following in second and Chadwick in third.
Yes, and Chadwick was leading before, but yeah, on that last lap, Paluch managing to get past, and Kissman has gone with him as well. Now needs to try to break that jump, but looking very strong behind is Tressida, Cook, Mandanese and Broomfield as well. Daniel Lee also could be dangerous in 11th place, and Steve Burke with a very strong start. He's up into 10th place after a very strong race 1 as well for Steve Burke. He's up 10 places from his starting position. There is Broomfield. He was making a lot of moves in race 1. He gained a load of places. And he's looking quick down the straights once again, picking up the jump from the car ahead. Might not be able to pull off the move on Bingham on this occasion, just gets a little bit boxed in, I think, being a bit cautious there. Daniel Lee with the fastest lap of the race. He's alongside Adjusers at the moment. Adjusers has an issue there, but he's kept the car in the right direction at least. But Lee up into 9th place, but also profiting up into 10th. I mean, the entire field from 2nd place down to 17th are just in a row at the moment. A gap, no gaps more than 7/10 of a second separating any of them. Of course, if you do click on the link in the description below to the SDK Gaming live timing, you can see the gaps between the drivers, their best lap time, their last lap time, all sorts of other information as well. So do click on that, as provided by SDK Gaming. As it's just lovely to see these cars slaloming through that section of the course. And, well, Broomfield's picked off one on the last lap. In fact, picked off one of the Performance Link Esports cars. He's got one more to get past on this time.
Breathe, Sam, breathe. Meanwhile, as you said though, Broomfield to the inside. The BMW's top speed slowly starting to come in handy. He's actually being outpaced by the Porsche in front. So we'll tuck back into the slipstream and get a nice bit of early braking, and we'll see that Cook's there as well. Meanwhile, I saw someone down the inside there. I believe that was Adriansons trying to defend from the car behind him, which would be Stephen Burke. And of course, Burke actually doing really well, making up place as well. Meanwhile, Tressida and Cook very close indeed. Obviously, this is the fight for 4th place, and actually might even be the fight for 3rd or 2nd because of how close these guys actually are. It's just chaos, mayhem, chaos, and carnage, and it's absolutely marvellous. It's what GT racing is pretty much in real life. Of course, these guys though doing an amazing job, and there is Lee. Of course, we saw him have issues in race 1. Well, he's definitely making up for it here in race 2. Doing the best he can to make some moves. Here's Adriansons trying to make his way past Bingham again. But he's got to worry about the BMW of Burke, and you can actually see Beer there as well. He's actually the leading car of race 1's top 3 group. He's really made some places, and that is Kittelman around. Kittelman's gone around. That's 2nd place. What has happened to Kevin Kittelman?
Oh, and Kitzman's had to take back to the pits, maybe just having enough of that one. Oh, he pulled away as well, Kitzman. He'll be kicking himself for this. Championship leader had a real strong couple of rounds. He knew that he was running wide, and even though he was very hesitant to apply the throttle, still, once he dipped a couple of wheels onto the grass, it was game over for him, and yeah, not being like he wanted to continue. Chester has had a problem. Oh, that looks like damage as well for Chester. Or is he going to be able to continue on this one? Certainly some damage, but because it's not steering, he should be able to continue in this race. Now, I really hope he hasn't been hit here. It was 3 wide behind him with Cook and Broomfield and Van der Nesse. And Chester's just missed it by himself on his first race in this championship of the season. And did a good rejoin there, not to cause any problems. There has been problems further back, and that is Laubish then. Race 1 winner, he's had a problem. Also, Prescott is off the circuit, and Chambers was involved. And now it's Brent Cook. He's gone down to 9th position, and he's lost it in a very strange part of the circuit. Maybe just serving a slowdown. Cook has lost a lot of places on this lap. I think he was up in the top 5 previously, but back into 9th place, only just ahead of Burke and Beer. So too much action to even keep up with. Here was the incident which got Chambers and Laubish and co all in a mess.
Oh, that was a very, very optimistic misjudgment of the brakes there from Laubish. Meanwhile, 3 wide. Ferrari, BMW and Porsche into turn 1. Well, Beer's going to get it done. Will Burke be able to hold on? Yes, he will. And that's Fellini actually getting his way through as well. So Fellini's going to pick up a place as well. But my oh my, it seems that the race 1 leaders are struggling to fight their way through traffic and even making little mistakes such as that, Sam. It's very interesting to see, and it's a shame to see as well. But, well, I say the leaders. I mean, Beer is currently in 9th. Hasn't put a foot wrong this race. Let's see a lock-up from Brown up ahead. Stephen Broomfield currently now in 2nd place after, well, basically picking up the pieces from everyone else's incidents. And Chadwick down to 3rd. Now under pressure from Lee. So Porsche is all you can see in that camera shot. And, well, I'm not really surprised why. Meanwhile, just trying to spot who else is trying to get past one another. Obviously, the only retirement so far, I believe, is actually Kittleman. So, great to see that the majority of the field are still running. Meanwhile, Chadwick is going to have Lee on his inside, and I have a feeling that Lee might just get this one, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time as well. Lee much faster than Chadwick, who's done a mighty job just to stay out of trouble as the amateur Canadian. Certainly has not been running this high all season long, but he's held in there and he's still in 4th position. But Lee soon gets him past. Now a change between the teammates. I think they almost take each other out, with Van der Nesse looking up the inside. If this field, or if this pack had started to spread out a little bit, certainly gets him back close. There goes Van der Nesse. He finally does get past and will try to sprint away. There comes Adjunsters up the inside, a little bit of contact between the two judges. Now onto the grass, and he's going to spin into Tom Brown, who was an innocent bystander. Maybe that's about the 5th curse we have dealt tonight, because Chadwick had been doing fantastically, but just running wide. Oh, and then that's Chambers, who doesn't like that corner. He went off there on the last lap. And as Brown rejoined, Chambers could not avoid him. So, yeah, a few casualties. Everyone besides Kittleman and, yeah, everyone besides Kittleman is still going. Brown has towed back to the pits. Seemingly quite a bit of damage on that guy. I feel very bad for him there, Alex, because, well, there was no fault of his own there.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you know, when you do end up having a little bit of misjudgment making contact there, of course he was entitled to you know, defend, but I think just came across a bit too much there, just had that little bump. And here we go, there's Fellini making his way up into 7th place, getting past Bingham. And there's Burke actually maybe going to have a look as well on the brakes. God, it looks so close. It looks a lot closer and a lot more accident potential than it actually probably is from inside the car, Sam, but doesn't give us commentators any less of a heart attack when you see him getting that close under braking into turn 1, especially with how many people we've seen having accidents there today. And, well, you know, we want to talk about drivers that haven't had accidents. Well, I think Paluch is the only driver that hasn't, because he's out front. by, well, I'm about to say a country mile at this point with how far ahead he has gotten ahead of all these squabbling little drivers. And I think he can't be too displeased with that, especially with the fact that he knows that Lee and Broomfield are going to be fighting for second place now.
Yeah, and Paluk is still pulling away from Broomfield, 3/10 of a second. I mean, Broomfield, I mean, it's awesome to see Broomfield at the front because he was very strong, I remember, back in, it was American GT, but certainly GT Season 1, had a bit of a struggling Season 2, and sat out Season 3, and came back for this Apex Racing League GT Season 4, and he's come back stronger than ever. Now, of course, did finish second place back at... or it may have even been last time out actually at Sebring. Apologies, don't quite remember that one, but certainly has had a podium so far this season. Brandon Nesse is battling with Jensen Adjensons, very racing behind for Beer, who is throwing caution at the wind. The Indy Autosports driver carrying good amounts of speed. Oh, very close are these two veterans of the championship. But Jensen's who moves ahead, and Vandanese very quickly loses position as well to Mateus Beer. Bellini's just not allowing Beer to get away whatsoever. Because second and third in race 1 earlier tonight. Still battling this one quite a bit, and a bit of contact between these two drivers. Bellini right on the back. I think he'll be in for a move at the end of the back straight, flashing his lights, and really fighting this one very hard is Vandanese, but he slices his way through, nothing given whatsoever, and he's up into 6th position. And the top 6 we have now, a fairly reflective top 6, I think. I think there, of course, Jensen Adjensson is still an amateur driver, albeit one of the best amateur drivers. So yeah, high quality top order now. As Lee ducks into the draft. And he did say previously, Alex, that these two would start fighting pretty soon. Lee might be faster than Paluk, but he's got a lot of time to make up, and he's got this position to get done as well. But despite the good straight line speed of the BMW, Porsche moves ahead, and Daniel Lee really did need that second place after a poor race 1. He's looking to get a good heap of points for this race too. He's got 8 seconds to catch up to Paluk. I certainly that's going to happen, but he'll at least want to put the German under some kind of pressure. Broomfield down into that. And a quick shout out, by the way, already talked about them a little bit tonight, SDK Gaming. Of course, providing us some lifetime, but also all of the graphics you see up on screen. This entire overlay, all provided by SDK Gaming, who really do produce the absolute best overlays for iRacing. You can do so much customization. You'll notice on Apex Racing TV, if you see any of our broadcasts, we have a different layout for pretty much all of the championships, and well, that's just the surface of it. There's so much stuff that you can do. You can check out some of the templates available on SDK Gaming. It's fantastic for broadcasting, streaming, and as a heads-up display as well. So check out sdk-gaming.co.uk to get yourself a license. Lee is only just holding off, but it's further back where the real battles is going on, because Beer is ahead of Adjensons. He couldn't hold him back too long. Ferrari up into 4th position, and Fulini should be passed fairly quickly as well. Newman as well, just getting past Tom Bingham a little bit further down the order. So a strong move there. Of course, needs to get some clear air. It's of course Sim Racing driver. Of course, Sim Racing, one of the top teams in this championship. Lead is currently Urana Esports leading the way. And of course, Nessov doing very strongly earlier on in the season, and certainly taking up the mantle in the second half of the season has been Laubish. And of course, Sim Racing also looking very strong with their couple of strong drivers. So in the amateur category, Adjenson's leading the way, then Bingham and Burke rounding out the top 3 and rounding out the top 10 of the overall standings as well. Drew Baker at his home race, dipping into the draft of Steve Burke at the moment. Team Lizard versus Indy Autosport. Now, of course, it was Becker who started on pole position for race 1, but it was Berg who got past him pretty much off the line. Seemingly a change of roles this time, but in front of them, they've got the ever more struggling down the straights Tom Bingham. He was almost caught by these guys despite not even being in the picture when they were moving onto the Brickyard straight. However, holding on was Bingham. He remains in 9th position. Of course, Nicholas Laubisch catching up to these drivers by about half a second a lap. You can just see him in the Urane Esports car in the background. Lost a little bit of time getting past Prince Cook that last time round. We are nearly 18 minutes into this 40-minute race. So we just see Dean Powell, I think, making his way past John Tressida. He's had an action-packed inaugural race of the season. Anton Galmetzer, if you recall, he of course led the race into the first few corners, started from pole position, but spun at turn 4. At least he's back up into 15th place. He's got past the Welshman. So the big pack of just from 2nd down to 17th that we had, very much separating now. Just a few pairs of Joes going at battle. But it's about time that we give this man some screen time. Make Paluk. And as Fellini's just moved up into 5th place. Paluk, I believe, got pole position back at Donington. And I may be getting confused between him and maybe Newman. Maybe it was Newman, in fact. Oh, Fellini's just had a little bit of an issue. Fellini spun. Championship leader Matteo Fellini absolutely had that move in the bag against Atkinson's. And then he's just made an unforced error. Here he was on the brakes into the corner and maybe just the curb unsettling the car. I was very lucky to dip a wheel onto the grass. So slippery out there on iRacing. And Fellini, who really worked very well, maybe wasn't quite as fast as Beer through the order, but he was keeping tabs on him. All of a sudden has a load of work to do, and look at that, he's got Laubisch right behind him. He had his own problems earlier on in the race, so a huge mistake there for Fellini, and a very rare one as well. We haven't seen him make really any faults throughout this season so far. Laubisch will be picking up the draft down the straight, but the DRS Wave Italy driver just a bit clear. By the way, of course, on the topic of DRS Wave Italy, they are sponsoring, of course, the upcoming championship of the Apex Racing League Prototype Series. And that's on a Friday evening, so if you like LMP1 or LMP2 cars, go check that one out. It's on apexracingleague.com. You can go get sign-up details. That's a 9-round championship. Visiting some pre-iconic circuits following the European Sprint Series schedule, actually. So all the kind of setups that you may use from, BRS or Apex Racing Academy will be available or will be of great use for that championship. So do check out apexracingleague.com to sign up to DRS to the Wave Italy Prototype Championship. And some massive prizes as well being provided by Wave Italy, so massive thanks to them for offering such fantastic prizes. A trip down to Italy, I believe, is available to some of the drivers, along with some hardware prizes as well. So certainly do check that one out on apexracingleague.com. Fellini then still holding back Laubisch. Apologies, I wasn't really commentating how Becker dropped behind all of these drivers. And Becker, after looking very strong, he was right on the back of Steve Burke, but he's had a couple of dismal laps. And quite a bit further down the order now, but of course Burke will probably be losing out from that pretty soon, as Bingham gets overtaken by Fellini down the straight. And will Laubisch be able to go with him as well? Laubisch usually fairly aggressive. Oh, well, they're all going deep. They are the amateur drivers, at least. And that is Becker really, after looking like he was gathering some good momentum, slipping down the order, cutting turn 2. And, that is frustrating for Becker, who was on a remarkable run of form earlier on in the championship, just stalling recently. can still get some decent points tonight, but 17th place would not be what he was hoping for after he lined up on pole position in the amateur category in race 1. Marco Tolman just clear of Colbek now. I think one of the best battles going on is the Jensens Adriansons, who remains top of the amateur drivers at the moment, and he's just clear of Sven Newman for 5th and 6th positions. And Newman looks quite a bit faster. I believe it was Newman, apologies, who got pole position back at Donington. And he unfortunately lost that lead. That's as close as Corsium Racing come to a race win so far this season, despite the fact that they've got 2 drivers in the championship hunt. But Newman looks strong here to overtake Adrianson. He was a 10th faster on that last lap and getting very close by the end of the straight. The sea out just tucking out of the toe. Just behind them, Van der Ness has kept up some good pace. He's still in 7th place, is the pro driver, apologies. He's got Steve Burke just on his tail. Those two don't want to lose too much time, otherwise they might lose touch of these guys, and kind of vice versa. These guys don't want to bounce too much, otherwise they'll fall to the drivers behind. And then just behind, they almost look like they're going visually faster. So much energy in those Porsches of Laubish and Fulini getting up to the back of these guys. So this is going to be a great battle from 5th down to 10th just coming up. By the way, Sarah Collins, that you're watching along, supporting Tom Collins at the moment. I think Peter Mackay managed to figure out that Tom Collins is the name of a cocktail. So if you are the mother of Tom Collins, let us know if that was the reasoning behind Tom's name. It's a fantastic opportunity. You can't let stuff like that pass under the radar. Apologies. So Collins in 19th place. Further up, Van der Nesse. That's actually Beer. It's going to be past Broomfield. German passes the other German. In fact, we've got 4 Germans up in the top 5 now, but Beer looking like another podium. He only picks up 1 podium so far this season before this round. Looks like he's going to triple his worth tonight. He's up into 3rd position. Meanwhile, Laubish getting past Burke. Oh wow, Laubish has got past Fulini as well. I wonder if we could get a replay of that one, because that one has been, well, that's kind of knocking on the door. He's been really hounding the back of that DRS Wave Italy car for a while. He's finally got past, and this is how it happens. In fact, this is a little bit before. Oh no, yes, this is a little bit before. Oh wow, look at that, Laubish almost being taken out. Good caution being taken by him right there, just to turn out on turn 2 slightly, and allowing the BMW to rejoin the circuit. But yeah, Berg in that 9th place, only a matter of time, I think, till Fulini makes his way past as well. Just say it's tricky to keep up with all the action. Got a slightly diminished field for this race, and of course we have had quite a few retirements as well. I've just got 23 cars still running, albeit all are on the lead lap. Dave Chadwick, in fact, just about to move a lap down, and actually Tom Brown as well, 1 lap down at the moment. But still lots of battling going on at the moment. Because this meeting 9 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship presented by Colbek. And if you want to get discounts on everything that runs your business IT, go check out colbek.co.uk/iRacing. Galmetz gets past Powell. Well, that'll be satisfying there. Powell, of course, amateur champion from last season. And he's had a little bit of a tough time of it so far this season. Undoubtedly, very quick drive though, of course, is Dean Powell. He'll be trying to get back onto the rear of Galmetz, and both these drivers with trouble, as you can see from the rear end of their cars, both varying levels of damage. Aha, are you back, Alex?
Yes, everything just went haywire. But you mentioned the move for Laubish on Fulini. That actually happened when Van der Nesse lost place to Adriansons. Earlier on, I saw the 2 side by side down the start-finish straight, and they were basically swapping places. But speaking of swapping places, I have a feeling that Laubish is about to make another place up, because he is on the back of Van der Nesse. and on Van Dessel, sorry, and it will go alongside the 112, and the Euro Esports 118 will be on the outside of turn 1. And I don't think that's too difficult of a pass made. Another lockup from Van Dessel, but of course, you know, I've seen a lot of lockups going into turn 1 today, Sam, and yeah, not many of them have come out positively.
Yeah, I think that's certainly right. Yeah, pretty easy to do it, and it's just such a narrow part of the circuit. You've got to carry a lot of speed, and yeah, easy to end up onto the grass. Vanessa can still get a top 10 out of this one. Hornsnink Esports. He's actually got his teammate Bingham not too far back, and you can also see Steve Burke as well in the BMW sitting behind. By the way, Paluk still with a 6.7 second lead out ahead. The gap coming down slightly against Daniel Lee, maybe a tenth or a second lap faster as Lee at the moment, but we've only got 10 more laps to go, and so we are yeah, nowhere near enough time for Lee to gain that gap. You can see a 24.0. That's a bit more of a gap taken out. Maybe that was a bit of traffic for Paluk, but he can really cruise to the line to take his first race win of the season, and yeah, close that gap at the top of the standings.
Don't say that, Sam. We know what happened the last time we said anything.
Well, I said he was
Having
my
a good
favourite
result.
for the race to win. So if that's not a curse, I don't know what is. I'm really tempting fate here.
Dancing with death, dear sir. Meanwhile, that is Becker getting his way past Howell, I believe. Yes, it is. So makes his way through up into 14th place now. And it seems that the AM field has sort of ended up now behind the pro field. It seems a bit less of a split compared to, you know, a bit less of a mix-up compared to race 1. Although we do have the lone AM driver of Adriansen's sat in 6th right now, and there's Tolman on the recovery drive, making his way up past Cressida. He'll make his way up above the Porsche, and is now going to have to chase down the BMW of Prescott. Of course, that BMW running not the greatest race after the issues it has had, and with a front end that looks a bit more like the M4 compared to the M8 that it originally started life as. Of course, I saw Paluk's name go into red for a second and panicked, thinking that he was in the pits or out of the race for a minute, Sam. I thought your curse had actually come true in about a minute and a half after you said it. But, of course, no issues there. And, of course, Lee is actually not too far after being under pressure from Beer and Broomfield, because they are not far off of the back of him now. They're only about, what, about 1.6 seconds off the back of him now, and closing as well. So that's for second place. Might not be as secure as we thought it was.
Yeah, it seemed like Lee was pulling away initially on those guys, but just lacking a little bit of pace since then is Danny Lee. His pace isn't slow, to be fair. I mean, he's still taking time out of Paluk, of course, and you know, Newman and Adjinsons and Albish and Co aren't gaining that quickly at the moment. They're all kind of in the mid-23s. But yeah, Lee has got to be careful on that one. He'd certainly fancy his chances against Beer. Although, of course, Beer's third place in race 1, so and was behind Lee for this entire event so far, or this entire race too. So yeah, maybe that one could be a comeback on the way between the Colbek and the Mazaholics drivers. Sven Newman is not shaking off Adjinsons either, actually. Adjinsons was a tenth or a second faster on that last lap. This lap pretty much matching each other. The gap staying at 4 tenths, so maybe that draft effect for Jensen's just helping him along. And Jensen's had fallen down to about 5th position in the Amateur Championship going into this round. Unfortunately, his brother Dara isn't around, and unfortunately for Dara, that probably means he's out of the championship hunt after leading the championship earlier on in the season. Dara Jensen's really looking like the favourite for a while. Jensen's, though, with this 6th position, could get himself back into the conversation. Sven Newman running up in 5th position. I think he finished 5th in race 1 as well. So looking like it's going to be some more consistency for one of the most consistent drivers out on circuit for core sim racing. Hutchinson's doing really well though here. We'll see if he can maybe launch an attack into turn 1 as they move on to lap 24.
And breathe. But of course, you know, we move on to lap 24, just under 8 minutes remaining here at Indianapolis, and well, everything seems to have just calmed down now. We can breathe a sigh and just chill, Sam. But once everyone has decided to calm down and stop trying to take chunks out of each other every single corner of the race circuit, as I said, I see a lockup going into turn 1. Who's gone off? Thankfully, no one actually, from what I can see on the track maps. There just seems to be someone snagging a break later on. I think people just starting to get a bit fatigued, maybe, or you know, making small little errors now that's sort of starting to show off a bit more. But of course, thankfully, everyone keeping it on the road as best they can. And I say actually that everyone's pretty, you know, out of the way and no one's really fighting each other. We do have fights for 11th and 13th as well on track. Obviously, 11th being Bingham versus Cook and 13th being Galvezza versus Becker. Those guys are relatively close on circuit as well. But this at the moment, Laubish versus Fulini, obviously the title leader. Sort of similar sight to race 1, sort of. I think he's going to be fed up of seeing the back of that Porsche at the end of this race, Sam, because I think he's just gone, oh, come on, I just spent 20 minutes behind you, I don't need to spend any more. So I think he's probably hoping that he can find a way past Laubish sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think so. He's a little bit further back now, 0.6 of a second. To be fair to Laubish, he had that off, of course, on about, it must be about lap 8 of the race, which was his fault, it looks like at least. Of course, the stewards will have a look at it if it is reported. But apart from that, he hasn't made like a driving all day long. He's been under pressure, of course, as you say, from Fulini for both race 1 and race 2. So good driving from Laubish, and any of those driving errors that he was making early on in the season, he's really ironed out in recent rounds. Becker ahead of Galmetz. I think that was just a move actually for Drew Becker. It sure was. 0.4 of a second faster on that last lap. He's caught and passed him, and Becker looking really quick in this race too. And he, at one point he was just a couple of seconds, but well, he was a couple of tenths behind Steve Burke. Couple of mistakes later and he fell outside the top 15, but he's back up into 13th place now, and he's got his sights set on Cook and Bingham ahead. Certainly has got time to catch up to those two. By the way, we've of course shouted out to of course Colbek and SDK Gaming and Virtual Racing School, but also another partner which makes these broadcasts possible is Apex Racing Academy, who provide 29 data packs. That's gone up. It was 27 for as long as I can recall, but it's up to 29 data packs now. So Apex Racing Academy coming more cars than ever before. And these data packs include setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, solo coaching sessions as well, and it's also integrated with a virtual racing school as well. So if you go to apexracingac.com, you can get yourself a subscription for that. Lots of pro drivers setting up the setups and the data packs for those cars. So yeah, certainly do check out apexracingac.com. Laubish is finally onto the back of Adjinsons. It's taken him a little while here, but he's got 4 minutes now to get past Adjinsons and Newman to recover a top 5.
Yeah, indeed. And
Oh.
it always looks a lot closer. You know how close it is, especially with how tight these guys are finding it. No, they've got traffic as well, because Chadwick's not that far up the road either. In terms of, you know, sort of being in the way, there he will make his way to let these guys through. And they've got Gowrie not far up the road either in the BMW. They've got to get past. You can see Neumann in the distance to the inside. They will go Laubish. Now this is risky. Will he get caught behind the GT traffic? No, he won't. He's going to be well ahead of Adriansons. But here comes Fulini as well. Fulini trying to make a look through. There we go, Fulini as well. He has gotten by He's just trying to stick with Loudbeach as quick as he can. Obviously, Gary in the background trying to chase with Chadwick. He's going to hold that place as well. I believe he might just do. Yes, he has. So thankfully, Gary not losing a place to Chadwick whilst letting those leader cars through. But of course, as well, critically, Palavic and Fulini, both of them past Adriansons and now chasing the back of Neumann.
Yeah, and the Neumann's in the championship fight, remember. He does not want to let these guys go. It's a disappointing round for Neumann, actually. Just has not had the pace as his, of course, in racing. So if Lavish and Fulini could get past, that would be particularly important. That would be a 4-point swing, which is honestly what this championship could come down to potentially. Chadwick is got overtaken by Gary, maybe, on that last lap. He certainly was slower than Gary on that last tour round. And now a lap down on the race leaders. Well, still eligible for points as long as you finish 0, 1 or 2 laps down. You do get some points, and also if you pick up 10 incidents, you get £3 for points. If you get 0 incidents, you get a bonus point. So always worth keeping it within the white lines. Not too much of a trouble around this place. The grass is a fairly good deterrent in order to stop track extending, as Becker, well, he really caught up to Cook very quick. He's up into 12th place. He's just got Bingham now, 1.6 seconds ahead. And if he could get that, then he'd only finish 1 place behind Steve Buck, which wouldn't be too bad. I think that would pretty much be maximising a result. He's got 1 more lap, in fact 2 more laps after this one to catch up past Bingham.
Well, we will see if he can. Obviously, we now look at your race leader of Mike Paluch led. Basically, well, I say from the start. I will say it from the start because everyone else seems to have, everyone else sort of faltered around him, and he's just kept a very, very clean race. And well, you were saying how Core haven't won a race yet, Sam. I think this finally might break the curse of Core, where they will be able to finally take a victory here in the Apex Racing League GT Series. Of course, Lee only 2.2 seconds back and closing. I don't think he's going to do it, as you said, but it is extremely, extremely much of potential. Final lap here as well now for the second race of 2 here at Indianapolis. And well, Haluk has only got to do 1 minute and 23 seconds more of driving, and well, you can see a checkered flag fall and a race win finally coming his way.
Yeah, Gat's come down quite significantly. It's down to 2.3, but just cruising is Paluk, and we haven't had a chat with him all season long, so hopefully we'll have a chat with us after the race. It'd be great to hear his thoughts on the event tonight. Newman's been caught, but the main overtaking spot's gone, turn 1, and he will be vulnerable to the run to line, but that's pretty much the only overtaking spot available. As long as he gets a good exit from this one, yeah, that looks all right. Fulini close as well, but is it really worth the risk? You know, if he gets involved in a collision, he could pick up a pit lane start, maybe some penalty points as well. Could the championship leader? We're going to have to cut to the race leader though, because he's just heading on to the oval, and Make Paluk, who had an absolutely terrible race 1. He started in 10th position for this race 2. He quickly got up to the lead, and he's going to take his first race win of the season. Make Paluk wins at Indianapolis race 2. He beats Daniel Lee to the line. Matthias Beer gets his second podium of the evening, and Newman holds on against Laubish. A very good result there. Fulini in a frustrating 7th after that spin, but it's still the championship lead for him heading into the final 4 meetings of the season. And it's Jensen Adriansons winning in the amateur race as well, and gains his hands on that Colbek prize money as well. Deepow just beating Prescott to the line. Oh, he could have done with more laps there, because some very close battles weren't quite resolved, but they were resolved in the end. But a few drivers maybe wanting that extra lap just to pull off some more overtakes. As all the drivers finish here at Indianapolis. I think it's a good race circuit, this, Alex. It's maybe not the driver's favourite to drive, but there was a lot of overtaking opportunities for the drivers. As long as you had a little bit of low drag on your car, you could really make moves happen, and that's what we saw throughout a real frantic couple of races.
No, I still dislike the circuit. I still dislike it. And I'll probably agree with most of the drivers if they all dislike it as well. But there is your result from the second race of the day. Obviously, as Sam said, Mike Paluch leading it for Core Sim Racing by 1.7 seconds over Daniel Lee. Just not enough in the space of time that he had. Did an amazing job, though, to bring that gap down from what it was. Matthias Beer in third for Resaholics, 3.3 seconds back. Then Stephen Broomfield, Centurion in fourth, Sven Neumann for Core Sim Racing. So Core actually with 2 cars in the top 5. That is extremely impressive for those guys. Then seeing Nicholas Laubisch in 6th for Urano, Matteo Fulini for DRS Wade Italy in 7th, and then your AM class winner Jensen Andreassens for Indy Autosport in 8th, followed by Chris Van Dessen, and then Steve Burke, Tom Bingham, Drew Becker, Brent Cook, Anton Galametza, Dean Powell, Chris Prescott, Marco Tolman, Tom Collins, John Treseder, Andy Thompson, David Gowrie, Tom Brown, Dave Chadwick. Matty Chambers was the first of the retirements, followed by Kevin Kittleman and Gonzalo Cortez, who did not start. Well then.
Yeah, that's hopefully we'll have some interviews with some of the drivers, but at the moment, none of them are wanting to have a chat with us. However, they did. Well, we did give out our fair few curses there, so we may have made some enemies tonight. The next round of the championship is Barber Motorsports Park. We've got Barber, then Spa, Sonoma and Long Beach to round out the season. But Barber, another circuit that we don't put too much in the GTs. I quite like that circuit. I like the back end of the circuit in particular, through the couple of chicanes there. But that will be a lot more tricky to overtake. I mean, that's a much smaller scale circuit, Alex. So qualifying position and where you start for race 2 could be particularly important. As we may have just lost Alex.
Indeed,
again.
Barber, always known for being a circuit very difficult to overtake.
Yeah, and we are going to be able to have a chat with one of our drivers then. I'd missed him for a couple of weeks, to be honest, but it is Daniel Lee who joins us in the commentary box now. Daniel, congratulations. Second place in that race 2 was particularly impressive, but talk us through race 1. I mean, we saw it on the replay, but there was just nothing you could do. I think it was Paluk who spun ahead of you, and you just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, he lost his back end really quickly. He obviously dipped a wheel on the grass, and you've got to just pick an end. And I seemed to pick wrong. Didn't give enough clearance, and that seemed to give me a few wrinkles on the right-hand sill. I can always benchmark how much time that lost me, because I always know when I hit that number 3 board for turn 1, we're always going 284 kilometers an hour because we've set this car up really slippy. And after that hit, it was more like 279. So we lost the advantage that we'd been building on. So we had all the detractors of low downforce and none of the benefit.
Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate for you right there. You managed to recover a few positions, but it put you in a slightly better place for race 2. Talk us through the start of that race 2, actually, because you seemed to get through it pretty cleanly, to be honest. I don't recall seeing a scratch on your car in the second half of the race. Now, I maybe could totally wrong on that one, but considering how tricky these reverse grids can sometimes be, that was a rather successful one for you.
Yeah, it seemed as if fortune kind of fell on our side this time, whereas in race 1 just got a little bit unlucky and slid down the order. Race 2 was a case of taking out 2, 3, 4 cars per lap. As I said, the car was set up to be so slippy, even the BMWs couldn't outrun us. So there were a couple of overtakes on the back straight, 2, 3 cars at a time. That was always the intention. If you're on a reverse grid, you want to get past people ASAP, and there's no overtaking in the infield really. So you've got to set it all up for that straight line, long straight. So yeah, the car was a bit more nervous and twitchy, but race 2, it really paid off. Even I'm surprised at how many cars were made up in that one.
Was there ever a moment that you thought that you could catch up to make, because it was down to 2 seconds by the end? What, did you think there was a bit of a problem, or were you wary to get your hopes up?
I really hope that if I kept it really clean, there was about 22 minutes left by the time I took second place, so that's half a race. That it goes quickly, but I knew that the pace difference between me and Palak would just about put me in range of attacking him by the end. But unfortunately, I had 2 big lockups, which, because I was watching my lap delta, they cost me a second. I did 2 big lockups on turn 1 that cost me a second, and that happens to be the 2 seconds that I was lacking to Palak right at the end. So it just wasn't to be. 10 more laps and it would have been a done deal, but running low downforce means the brakes are going to be a little bit more floaty. So you just got to accept that was the best that could possibly have happened.
A couple of rounds ago, it was looking fairly unlikely that you'd be able to challenge for the title when Alexa was getting, back-to-back wins and a first and second at Donington. But Nesov hasn't attended the last couple of meetings, and all of a sudden, I think after tonight, you'll be up into second place in the championship. You must be feeling like you might be able to go one better than last season now.
I think it's possible. To be honest with you, I've kind of got Fellini down to win, because I think that he has that such good consistency, and he's had a good few meetings where I've sort of fell by the wayside, particularly at, say, Interlagos. But I have definitely got the championship in mind. Nesov and Laubish might be handicapped by their other commitments, but for those of us with an open schedule and a lot of time to practice, for example, I've spun 200 laps of this track on the official schedule, so I couldn't have been any more practiced if I tried. If I can keep that up, then there's a chance. There's a real chance. So Fellini, he's the man to beat.
Well, we're certainly wishing you the best of luck, and it's not because you have the title sponsor on your car, but no, it certainly would be good to see you getting that win. And for the final few rounds of the series, we're going to a few kind of unique circuits and Spa, I guess. But we've got Barber, Spa, Sonoma, and Long Beach. Which one of those are you looking forward to the most?
I would say Spa, to be honest with you. The Spa is, everybody loves it. Everybody loves it, and my past showings there have been really good. Long Beach is the one I'm not really looking forward to for obvious reasons. I think that the last hairpin is just going to cause an issue of some form, but by then we will all have learnt to get along with each other, so we should play nice. But Spa particularly is the one that I think is going to turn out well for me.
Awesome. Well, the best of luck for Spa and, of course, Barber next week as well, Daniel. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to?
Shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast. You did such a great job of that. The Grid for always providing decent, really good racing on a Sunday night. Wife Claire for being supportive, stuffing me full of basically Easter eggs all today. So I'm probably only just about able to walk out or get up from the rig. Generally speaking, just everybody involved for putting on a really good league.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Daniel. Will we see you in the Porsche Cups on Wednesday?
No, afraid you won't. The Porsche Cup, that's a championship that I've basically tried and abandoned. You've got to stick to your strengths, and the Porsche Cup is just too fiery. It doesn't suit me at all, so I've left it to the pros. You won't be seeing me in the Wednesday Porsche Cup, I'm afraid.
Well, forgive the Easter pun, but you're putting all your eggs into one basket.
Yep.
And honestly, I'm really proud of that one.
You shouldn't be.
Oh, but yeah. That's on my CV now. That's going on there. Anyway, apologies. Thank you for having a chat with us. Danny, best of luck for next week.
Cheers, Sam. Thank you very much.
All the eggs into one basket. Classic. Did you? Sorry, we've got no more interviews at the moment, to be honest. But I mean, Alex, how have you found your first Apex Racing League GT meeting? First time covering this series.
On the grid. Is all I can say. I want to be a part of this now. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure, and obviously, I can't thank you guys enough, obviously, for allowing me in. It's such, obviously, it was planned for a while, but of course, I'm not here full time. I'm here as a bit of a backup because of how things have been. So, great to join you, of course, again, Sam, because it's been obviously always an absolute pleasure working alongside you. And of course, thank you as well to Samueli, because he's done an amazing job on the broadcast as our amazing cameraman and making sure that we see all of the action that you see on your screens, of course. So thank you both, you guys, but it's definitely been an amazing experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for filling in for this one. And thanks to all the viewers for tuning in. Thanks to the drivers as well for putting on a terrific show for this meeting 9 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Of course, do check out all of our sponsors, SDK Gaming, Apex Racing Academy, Virtual Racing School, and of course Colbek as well. And if you go to colbek.co.uk/iRacing, you can vote for your driver of the day, whether it's just your favourite driver or if you feel like someone has driven particularly well tonight. Make sure you go over to colbek.co.uk/iRacing and you can vote for that driver. They get a medal and a little bit of prize money, I think, as well. So certainly worth doing. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, and from Alex Skinner, and from Sam Kumo as well on the production area, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time out at Barber for meeting 10 of the championship. See you then.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.